We're in a global market now where someone like Martin Garrix, who made music in his bedroom, was headlining stages in America, Asia, Australia, and that's the power of the internet.
You see it when people go to clubs and they're filming. You're there, you're watching the set, but you're watching it through a screen. It's mad.
I think the curse of the social media glare is there's no escape, and there's also the accusation of being manufactured.
For the majority of people, you've got to have this presence, and you've got to be promoting your personality as well as your music.
The fact is, if I'm looking at new talent, I look at their social media and I make a judgment.
The best thing about social media is the discussion it can create.
Social media is also perhaps the best feedback tool in the world. For all the likes you're going to get, which are going to hit that dopamine trigger, which are going to make you feel great, you know that a week later someone else is going to come back and try and ruin you.
I think social media is just so potentially toxic and lethal for a DJ's mental health.
If you had the opportunity to present only the best aspects of your existence, you know, who wouldn't take that?
I feel the negativity around that is really starting to hit home for a lot of people. People doing things for the wrong reason, for cosmetic reasons, for image reasons, for ego reasons.
It's called social media, but I don't believe it is. I think people cultivate this false self, this kind of synthetic persona, and they can develop it to the extent that they feel that that's what they want to be, yet they can't interact on the level.
Nothing concerns me about social media. Any way you can make direct contact with your fans and followers is good in my book. If someone says otherwise, they're living in the past.
We never had phones before in Clubland, and now we do. So it had become a bit of a scourge because, you know, at the beginning they were quite fun. You know, when I went to a U2 concert, when Bono says, "Get your phones out," you know, put all the lights on, and you see thousands of people with the lights on, and turn all the lights off, and all you see were people who had their phones in the air. That was actually quite cool. But now when you see the lights on that's being recorded, actually it's not that cool.
Last year, the phones in the club really were invasive to me as a DJ. I found it difficult to actually be able to focus on what I was doing, just DJing, doing what a DJ does. I kept getting interrupted time and time again, physically, by phones.
So I'm on my phone all the time. I've not been without a phone for the last 10, 15 years, and a big chunk of that time is taken up by social media. I'm on it every hour of every day. So I want to find out what the implications would be if I come off social media, like let's call it a social media ban, for a whole week, to see if I can still be a DJ, but communicate with my friends and family, and it not have an effect on my professional career. Yeah, that's it. No social media.
If you're DJing and you're in front of, say, 400 or 500 people and you're aware that somebody's taking a selfie with you, like this, and it looks a little bit embarrassing, you're kind of dealing with this internal dialogue of, I've kind of got to look good on the selfie, but I've kind of got to be nice to the person, but I'm also kind of in front of 500 people, and the whole dialogue in your head can take you out of the music a little bit.
I get a lot of attention when I start to play. So nobody wants to miss that beginning of what I create. But the thing is, once they've captured that intro of whatever I do, and then the phone should really just go away and should never see it again until they leave. But if this still be recorded after 3 or 4 songs in, and then we have a problem, because no one's listening to my first 3 or 4 records, which is the most important records that you play.
I remember doing gigs and there's people right in front of me with a phone, and I felt it quite rude. I felt that, you know, they're almost putting this buffer between me and the audience, or me and what I'm trying to portray.
I think in the period from kind of 85 to 95, maybe even later, the dance floor was a dark, sweaty, slightly mysterious, slightly edgy place where no one would want a photo taken of them, let alone shown to their family, to the media or their friends. And that's changed because now everyone needs to be Instagram friendly, everyone needs to look great.
We were going through some old footage from Pasha and Ibiza recently. People were jumping up and down. People were going wild. And You know, you can't do that if you're constantly checking on your phone.
Like, it's mad how phones have affected the way that people even think about events these days. If you look at the rise of day parties, the rise of pool parties in Ibiza, that's because people want to Instagram. They want everyone to see what a good time they're having. It's, you know, everywhere needs an Instagrammable place, or a place where you can, you know, take a selfie.
It's almost like a party now is only good if there's content to prove it happened. Like the tree falling in the forest, but no one was there to hear it. Did it really happen, you know? Were there really 5,000 people going mad if there's no content?
Now, it used to be that the person on stage was the star. Now the person in the audience is the star. You want to feel important. And that's what it's about. You want to share with your friends you were there.
I feel like everyone wants their own TV show. You know, everyone wants to be famous, to be talked about, or, oh, you know, so-and-so went there, or so-and-so's doing this.
When the people come to DC10, they want to call the other guys. I don't know, there is in Rio de Janeiro, with the phone, they start the video call. Hey, look where I am, fuck. I'm here at DC10, you're at home.
I think social media is a massive part of dance music, and for me as a DJ, it's the key tool for promoting myself.
For a producer, it's like having a multi-million-dollar CRM right there for free. You know, allows incredible connection and instant feedback from your customer. So from that perspective, it's an amazing tool.
I think 20 years ago, it would be much simpler to have the music career in a way. You go to a studio, you make your record, you send on a demo tape to a record label, they sign it, if it becomes a hit, you tour. And now it's kind of, there's been so much music out there, you can do that, and it might just not become a hit even if the music's good. For the majority of people, you've got to have this presence, and you've got to be promoting your personality as well as your music.
The best accounts to me are where you mix the personal with the work. So if I follow Black Coffee, I don't want to just know about his gigs, I want to know about his personal life. I like seeing pictures of him with his mother having dinner. That to me is a nice part of social media, is I get to feel the human part of an artist, which you may only know as an industry person.
It provides a direct DJ to consumer relationship that didn't previously exist. We can speak to the people who are in the club and find out exactly what tunes they liked, what tunes they didn't like.
You can engage directly from any part of the world at any time. Fans can gain access to everything about an artist. They can deep dive, they can explore the music, they can explore who that person is, they can find out what they want.
They're called social media for a reason. They can have, I think, positive impacts on our social relationships.
Social media is a way for people to speak directly to their fans, where there are always intermediaries. So therefore you can keep them satiated, hope they spread the word, and amplify your career.
Social media allows inspiration, it allows education. I think it can fast-track learnings. It can allow for the formation of support groups. I think it can break down old paradigms.
I would definitely wouldn't have been playing half the gigs I play. I don't think I would have sold as many tracks. I wouldn't have had as many listeners on the radio. So, yeah, I think I'd be worse off without social media.
My wife kind of took the marketing reins of our entire operation. She's the one that's flipped it into this data machine, but it's brilliant.
There's so many things that we do, geo-targeted posts around the world. I remember when we was doing Perfect Strangers, my second single, we had campaigns where it would be countdowns, you know, and you'd create hype on social platforms, and that would help spread awareness and build followers and build interest in what's coming next. A track can be more noticed if you give it to an influencer. You know, that's another thing. They've got millions of followers, and they're playing my music on all their Instagram or Snapchat stories, and there's so many things, but social media plays as much of a role as the music does.
I know agents that are particularly booking DJs with more followers. DJ A will get booked over DJ B. And I also know that DJ A had gone out and spent maybe £500 on gaining those followers. because the perception that you're creating is you've got a bigger fan base than the other DJ. Yesterday I was speaking to somebody that said they'd just brought like 2,000-3,000 Instagram followers just so they could get a bigger fee for their agent, and that was a DJ actually.
People can manipulate it in another quite insidious way professionally as well. You know, it's been seen for people to be buying YouTube views and buying Facebook likes. That to me is terrifying.
And people that they have like 100,000 and the reality they say after they have like 2 comments, 2 likes, and you don't understand if this is real or real. That's the point why the social media are not good.
With the invention of the great old internet, the beautiful thing was it enabled everyone to have a go at this game and release records and do that and put themselves out in the marketplace.
You're now in this era where people like Amelie Lenz and Charlotte DeWitt, these are artists who've exploded, and I mean exploded, through social media.
Equally, the worst thing about the internet is that exact thing. You could make the Sgt. Pepper's Part 2, and unless you've got a good social marketing thing, no one's going to hear it, which is outrageous if you think about it.
There's a lot of producers that have spent a long time learning their craft. There's a lot of artists, there's a lot of DJs that really have broken their backs for 20 years to get a level of skill and artistry that they have now. And to see someone match you on that because of your social media reach is a bitter pill to swallow.
We're never going to break new ground when new artists are climaxing on dopamine released when you get a like and interaction at such an early stage in their career. The reality is most people need to start honing a skill, working at it, have a bit of struggle, find themselves as an artist. I'm not sure that getting those constant little bumps of dopamine is helpful, because it's sort of saying, yeah, you've done it, great.
The challenge I'm going to take is to go cold turkey, is try and live without social media for a whole week. One part of me is very nervous because I'm so used to promoting myself and just catching up with friends and seeing what everyone's up to on social media that I'm worried I'm going to feel out of the loop. But I'm also excited to not have to remember to do it.
We all need time off from social media. We all need time off from the internet. We all need time off digitally. I think it's really good to unplug. I mean, I do it now and again myself, but it scares people. Try and unplug. It's like, you know, I called you yesterday, why didn't you call me back? I texted you a minute ago, you know, I sent a WhatsApp and I didn't get my email, and I'm just like, no.
I think it's good and bad. You know, there's good things because, you know, by me being online and doing something, I might discover something. I might discover an artist. I might, you know, which might not have happened if I was switched off. If I was switched off, it allows me to breathe, you know, not be so conscious or worried about what everyone else is doing. It allows me to just do my own thing.
I would advise that you want to check that you are not psychologically dependent on something, even if it brings you pleasure. And the way that you do that is by testing your reaction when that thing is taken away from you.
So there's been a recent scientific study where they had people do a 5-day digital detox. And the big headline that came out in the media was that your physiological stress levels go down. What also happened is that people's life satisfaction went down and their reported stress levels didn't change. So I think what we see from that is that a digital detox will probably have a lot of different effects because technology is such a key part of our lives.
I can imagine it would fear a lot of artists with fear, you know. And that comes back down to this problem though of like, how is an artist's value measured? Is it because they've got more Facebook likes than the next guy or more Instagram followers than the next guy?
7 days, social media, gonna delete all the apps, change all your passwords, go completely cold turkey. Are you ready?
Yeah, I think so. It's just difficult because it's like one of the biggest weeks of my summer. The first day is my actual birthday. So I think people are going to think I'm very rude if they kind of send me birthday messages. And I've got a massive gig in London tonight alongside not just like 2 DJs, but 2 of my heroes. So Eric Murillo, who's like the inspiration behind me becoming a DJ, and Mark Knight, who's someone I totally respect in the industry. So it's quite a significant gig for me this summer that I'm not going to be able to document. through social media, which makes me quite sad. And then I've got massive gigs, like festivals in Romania. I've never played in Romania, so naturally I'd be like, first time in Romania, hopefully it'll be a good gig. Not gonna be able to do that.
Maybe you'll actually enjoy it though.
Well, maybe, yeah.
Like, maybe
exactly.
you'll actually see things.
Yeah. And then Ibiza, I always, post that when I'm in Ibiza, because I love it there. It's like my second home. So yeah, I'm not gonna have to do all that, and I'm just getting a bit nervous about doing it and coming off, but the time has come, so.
7 days.
Well, if I can last that long. So that's it, done. Social media free, my phone is cleansed of social media. I hope it makes me realise that I don't need to rely on social media as much as I think. I know it's important, I know it's key to what I do. I know it's a vital tool for promoting myself and everything I work hard on, but maybe I've just slipped into the habit of just going on it a little bit too much, and maybe, sitting through a whole film without going on it, visiting a place like Romania that I've never been to, maybe just notice things a bit more, like talk about it with the person I'm with, like rather than just, standing there. I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen. I think if I could predict, it would just teach me to just chill out a little bit with the phone.
Craving is a part of human being, and from the Buddhist perspective, craving causes an attachment. So attachment is the cause of suffering. Attachment may be compared to the stone, a heavy stone. And if you hold it just for a few minutes, you can feel it, you can feel tension. So if you put it down, it's like you let go. Well, we can compare the mobile phone to the stone. If you use it too much, it can cause an attachment.
Massively addicted to my phone. I can't switch off.
First thing I do when I wake up, go on my phone. The last thing I do before I go to sleep, on my phone.
It's like a comfort thing, just quickly check my phone and check my Facebook, Instagram, my emails, whatever it may be.
Every, I would say, 4 or 5 seconds, you want to know what's going on, and that's an addiction. So you're looking for that fix in something of which you just do, whether you think that you do it or not. I do it. I feel my phone, okay, look at it, okay. Have I got any emails? No.
So what's actually happening in your brain when you receive a notification on your phone? You get this little rush of endorphins, which is a pleasure-giving chemical. And that induces what's called a Pavlovian response. That means that you want to jump on your phone straight away and answer the notification.
It's just so easy because it's on your smartphone, it's in your pocket. If I'm walking to get the train, or I'm sat in an airport, or I'm at home, quickly have a little look. Right, straight on, whether it's checking the news or Twitter or whatever, straight on my phone. And it's not until we talk about it now that I've realised this. Just arrived in Romania, came from Paris, had a couple of days there. Before Paris was Northern Ireland. I've managed to stay off social media despite visiting some incredible places. The tunes were going off, the crowd was responding, and that would have been a perfect opportunity for me to get some videos. I definitely would have Instagram storied, I definitely would have tweeted. I guess it was a good opportunity to take it in and not worry about, I need to get this on my phone, but I still did have those thoughts. The one thing I found so far in this experiment is how addicted to my phone I am. And I think because my brain is so used to just getting my phone out, so If I saw something, I was like, my first train of thought would be, I need to get my phone out. Oh, no, I can't. It's quite scary actually to think that my phone has almost become a part of my body. Like, if I'm separate from it, I panic.
The people who designed the social media platforms use the same algorithms and technology as gambling sites. So they're using a lot of the same techniques so that you get a rush of endorphins when, for example, your followers go up or when your posts are liked. It's actually addictive.
We have to remember that most social media platforms, their business model is based on keeping us on those platforms for as long as possible, whether that's so that we see more advertising or interact with more commercial partners or make more in-app purchases, whatever it is that forms the core of their business. It can lead to them prioritizing the posts in our feeds that they think we are more likely to react to. And that can perhaps lead to what we call filter bubbles, which is where you only see the viewpoints of people who agree with you because you end up curating your feed or being pushed information that these sites think corresponds to your own worldview. And that can be problematic because it can give you a bit of a skewed view of reality.
There's a reason why all the fake news sites get so much traction, because they identify what people would mostly be angry about. And when people are angry, their emotions worked up and they start to comment. So if person A is saying something negative to person B, you'll get some people off that person B's timeline that see it, they want to come to their defense. And then other people will latch onto those people and call them kind of social justice warriors. And so you get this kind of feedback loop, and then that's how it exponentially grows.
So many people on social media want to have a lot of attention from the people. When you say something, when you post something on Facebook, and then you wait for the feedback, when you wait for the comments or even the like. Yeah, we want something different from ourselves. We want attraction from other people. And then whenever you have more likes, and then you want more and more. The more you have, the more you want.
I think people become addictive to all those likes and all those shares, etc. You know, it's an endorphin rush, isn't it? It's a release of something. When you're being liked, you're being validated externally. You're continually having to get that validation.
I think a great amount of posting on social media is bragging.
There's definitely a pressure to look good on social media. For example, I'm probably not going to post a picture of me like that in front of a crowd of 2 people because it doesn't really sell me as a DJ. When promoters are looking at my social media and fans as well, I want them to see me in the best light.
So you will post a picture of you sat on the steps of the private jet. Been there, done that. I've done it. Or you will post a picture of you with an amazing crowd or with their hands in the air looking like they're having the time of their life. But you won't post a picture of you sat in the car, pale and exhausted, staring out the window, missing your kids when you're still 4.5 hours from home.
There are some artists who are using social media in a really, really amazing way where they are being so open and positive about what they're doing. You know, there's almost this kind of unwritten rule that you have to say that every gig was amazing, but there are some artists who are calling it out when it's not. And I think they're really seeing a huge growth in their followers because people really respect the honesty.
I think for a DJ it's very important how to use the social media. I like, the people that use the social media in a funny way, like Seth Roxler. Seth Roxler is very funny because, maybe make a picture when he's going to the bathroom, But when the DJ goes serious, he start to make like a special picture, like use Photoshop, or I think they lost the most important thing of the social, that is make communication with the music.
You know, it's called social media, but I don't believe it is. I think people cultivate this false self, this kind of synthetic persona, and they can develop it to the extent that they feel that that's what they want to be, yet they can't interact on the level. They can't interact with another human being because they've become so distant to this persona they've created. this new almost narcissistic part with all this validation and external commendation. And it just causes so many different split, unintegrated parts in people. And I see that, even working in NHS with younger people all the time. They're continually beating themselves up because they don't look like this synthetic image they've got. I mean, it's really a real big struggle.
When you think back to the Mix compilation in the mid-90s, it was all about a girl in her underwear on the cover of a CD. That's what sold Ministry of Sound Ibiza. Just as we were kind of getting rid of that very poor marketing technique, now we've got social media accentuating the female DJ in the bra and her underwear to even greater heights. And I think it's very hard because there are a lot of very beautiful women who are all about the music and all about their artistic work, and they're also being given a hard time because whatever they do comes across like they're pushing their image when actually they're just being themselves.
There's definitely issues around things like body image or, this idea of FOMO, fear of missing out, when you think all your friends are having a better time than you.
In a lot of social psychological theories, comparison to others is just key to how we function. And social media does amplify this ability to compare yourselves both to people in your social surroundings, to people you would have never met or you will never meet, but you meet every day on your Instagram feed. So social comparison can cause me to feel really motivated to try and to be better and to improve myself. But then naturally there can also be a negative effect of social comparison, causing people to feel disillusioned, to lack in self-esteem.
There's a very powerful quote for me that says, "Comparison is the thief of joy." And if your tribe is no longer 12 families, but it's half the planet, that can strip a lot of joy from your day-to-day life.
There's a part of the brain that's in the frontal cortex, and it's responsible for your understanding of how you fit within your community, like how you compare to your friends and your family and what your role is in your kind of social group. And for prolific social media users, that part of the brain is larger than in their peers. And what they think that means is that they would be obsessively concerned with comparing themselves to other people. And we know that that has a negative impact on self-worth.
The other aspect is this kind of constant competition that has been created in the DJ world. This kind of, we're all one community, but we all want to kill each other at the end of the day. And I see that too much with a lot of talent, that they're so preoccupied with what somebody else is doing and what they're seeing on social media, and why are they playing, that stage looks much bigger than the one I played on. I just see people are just showing off so much and then getting so concerned and paranoid about what other people are doing. They're losing sight of actually what's important to them in their life and their career and focusing on their situation. I see other managers posting about how well certain acts are doing, and even if one of my acts have done well, I've definitely gone into this thing of why are we not doing that, or how do we get to do that, or whatever, and I've found myself getting quite pathetically jealous about that.
You can see why certain acts at different points of their career, that could affect them for sure, because they might think, well, why am I not doing that? Well, I should be there. And of course, it never stops in dance music.
It's an addiction. It really is. You feel in your body like the kind of fear of missing out. I feel if I'm switched off for, a few hours, I'll miss stuff.
Some of social media's made me definitely realise that I need to allocate my time more efficiently. Visiting the places I've visited this week and experiencing the things I've experienced, seeing the things I've seen, it's like, hold on a minute, your life could be much more efficient if you don't waste time every hour scrolling and scrolling. I was aware that I used it a lot, but I wasn't aware on how much I reached for my phone. And it's quite scary because even though I didn't have the apps for social media on my phone during the whole experiment, I was still reaching for it like it was just a habit.
I think the issue is not that we shouldn't be using social media or engaging with our phones and making the most of the platforms and the great technology. I think the issue is more of self-awareness and being aware how often we are distracted from our day-to-day communications by the smartphone.
One of the things that's coming out of the really new research into social media is that if you're a passive user, if you're scrolling through other people's posts and then thinking, oh, they all look like they're having a really good time and I'm, sat on my sofa with my hand in a bucket of Maltesers, what am I doing with my life? Then it's going to start negatively impacting your self-esteem.
I think social media is just so potentially toxic and lethal for a DJ's mental health.
It can be so destructive. And people can just be so negative. There's so much jealousy out there to artists succeeding. And I think that's partly an electronic music problem that's always been there.
No one is safe from mental health issues because society isn't safe from mental health issues. But if you add on top of that the social media lens that amplifies everything that you do, or you perceive it to amplify everything you do and you think everybody can see everything you're doing wrong, then it's going to have a very negative effect.
At the time, I was using social media as a sort of to define my own feelings. So in the way that when I played a gig and I got back to the hotel and I was severely unhappy, I would go on social media and search out negative reviews to kind of try and justify my feeling because I didn't understand it at the time. That was before I took the time off.
I remember a few gigs had been quite a struggle for him, and before seeing Ben I thought, oh God, we can't just pull 6 months worth of gigs. Like, are you sure you need to do this? Let's at least talk about it. When I actually went round to see him, that's when I sort of realised, yeah, okay, yeah, let's just pull this right now.
Now I'm much more aware of looking back at how it might have affected me, much in the way of the imposter sort of side of things, feeling like a fraud, everyone else is doing better than me, and looking at people's schedules and what they're doing in life and everything. I wasn't using it in the most positive way.
We couldn't have just cancelled those gigs without announcing it somewhere, at least telling people some reason why. So Ben wrote this thing on Facebook, which was, I don't think any of us, certainly me, didn't think it would hit as many people as it did, and I think it did. I think it hit like 1.5 million people to nearly 2 million people now, very quickly. And the feedback, it was incredible actually from outside looking in. The support that he had from all corners of the globe.
I think in the last 2 weeks alone, James Blake wrote about his depression and mental health and suicidal thoughts. A lot of artists are now using social media in a very positive way to tell their fans that it's okay to suffer, that we're all human, we all suffer from issues of anxiety and depression.
I think looking at social media and the recent spate of kind of high-profile suicides in the music industry, especially like that with Avicii, is that we don't know. We might feel that we know our artists, and the whole opening up of social media was supposed to be about, hey, we get to sit and we know our artists innately, but we don't. We never know. I see a lot online, just reach out, just talk, just this kind of stuff, and some people just can't. And I think when you've got a high profile, I think the pressure is even more on, because you're trying to sustain a commercial venture. You may have created some kind of a false self that you feel you can't back down from.
I think people are far more likely to sort of start hammering the keyboard about why something's shit than saying, oh, this is wonderful, well done.
If you have your notifications on from everyone, you can just be walking down the street and get a notification on your phone saying, hey, you're an ass. And it's not really what you want if you're having a bad day.
And there's this strange bit of psychology that's been proven, and I don't know why it happens, but when you are being cyberbullied, you spend more time online. And by all rights, you should take a step back, but you don't, because you know people are talking about you, and there's this weird compulsion to see what they're saying.
I think a troll's someone that's seeking gratification through putting someone down on the internet. There's research that shows that people get dopamine from it. A lot of the time they're hiding behind an avatar or a fake name, fake account. So it's not real. But they are incredibly destructive and can be, especially when it's targeted and it's personal.
I'm kind of fortunate enough to have to be strong enough mentally to be able to handle whatever comes to me. But if I was really, really sensitive, I probably would be in a mental institution by now. because the things that have been said about me, it's been unbelievable and very damning and very personal for no reason whatsoever, apart from that they want to create a thread based on trolling, as we know, and cyberbullying.
Most people with a degree of success have a degree of imposter syndrome and thinking they're going to be found out any minute for being the fraud or for having a lack of talent. And of course, what trolling will effectively do is play onto that, because if you're constantly being harassed for having ghost productions or not being a good DJ, or that track's not very good, or your clothes aren't very good, or who did your hair, all of that compounds into this self-perception that you probably had anyway, which is someone's going to find me out soon. And I think what's a shame is that if you did a poll of most of the people on the attack, all of them have those same fragilities and those same concerns, but forget that people in the public eye have them too.
As soon as you get in the public eye, people will throw anything they want at you, and you have to be able to take it. And if you can't take it, and if it is going to be affecting your mental health, then you just need to get off it. Get off it. You'll probably be very liberated.
I think predominantly since probably the inception of iPhones, and I've noticed a massive difference in the classic people holding up phones, and they want to try and preserve that experience digitally rather than just embrace it from the perspective of just being organically there and being engaged with it.
When you're walking around, you start looking for opportunities for content. You see a beautiful sunset or a dog doing something funny, and rather than just appreciating that, your brain goes, that's content.
Being at the clubs for a moment itself is all about being awash by the music, feeling the atmosphere, meeting other people who feel the same as you do about the tracks that are being played. As soon as you pull your phone out, you lose all of it. You lose the essence of the reasons why you're there.
10 years ago, 20 years ago, you go to a club to connect with people, to look at them in the eye, to exchange ideas, kisses, whatever you want to exchange on a dance floor with people in a club. It was to experience music together, that feeling of a lot of humans together in one place, feeling one thing.
As unique human beings, we all get that sense of worth and connection from other human beings. And I think what's starting to happen now is people are spending less and less time with other humans, so they're losing that natural sense of empathy.
I think there's definitely a danger that we're losing human connectivity as a result of living through our screens. When you used to go to a club, it was about the music, but it was about meeting people. And now it's about the music and taking photos of that music and posting it in real time, and not about the people around you. And I think we're all missing some of the magic at the moment because of it.
We're working with Pasha, Amnesia, DC10, and we're doing some stuff at Privilege as well, so pretty well everywhere. Of making a point of saying no cameras. From a promoter's perspective, for us, and the brand, growth of the brand, it's a fucking ballsy thing to do. But for us, we say, right, I want to go to an event where I get completely lost and I go across the road afterwards and have a drink and say, fucking hell, wasn't that amazing? This happened, that happened, but it's because it's in here. It's not going through, scrolling through saying, I'm going to refer to my phone to make sure it actually happens.
There's some really interesting research done by Dr. Aaron Balick. He wrote a book called The Psychodynamics of Social Networking, and in it he says that if you take endless photos, you begin to rely on those to connect with your experiences. If you go to a gig and you're looking at it through your phone, there's a part of your brain that goes, I don't need to really be here because you're banking this for later. And what that means is that you're not fully immersed in the moment.
There's some things that you can't capture. You feel it, you let it flow through you, and you let it go. If you're gonna be on a dance floor, be on the dance floor.
I think there's got to be a level of education for the younger audience who just start clubbing, and that's what we're trying to push. People who enter clubs since the first time, they might be a little bit excited, they might take out their phone and film the DJ, so we just got to educate the younger audience.
We're trying to get people to understand that you should be able to unplug yourself for something that takes you away from the reality of life.
If happiness can be defined as the ability to fully experience life, then reaching for your phone in an attempt to record that and promote that is only going to take us out of that very state.
My biggest concern is that we will become almost like avatars. So we'll become less and less active in the three-dimensional world and rely on our social media personas to kind of live our lives for us. And that we'll get to our deathbeds and look back and really regret that.
I think people definitely aren't living in the moment in life, in society. You know, if you walk to any beach, you walk to any park, you walk to any football match, you go to a school play, you'll see the parents recording the school play rather than watching their kids on the school play. So I think we just have to accept that phones and the recording of what's around you is embedded in culture. We can dislike it, but I think it's going to be very hard to change where we are right now.
I really hope we get to that point where, you know, it's positive to switch off. Clubs will embrace it more, not think about the social media value for them, but actually think about the experience in the room and get people focused back on the music and the people around them.
There is a backlash against the kind of social media culture, and there are clubs and bars where you're not allowed them, where they have signs up that say, like, no, we don't have Wi-Fi, talk to each other, you know, things like that, where, you know, it blocks your signal when you go in. You can find spaces where people are actually committed to three-dimensional interaction.
It'll be like a smoking area of a restaurant. Half the restaurant will be using their phones to talk to each other over the table, and eventually they'll get pushed outside and they'll just be standing in the rain doing it.
And I think more and more clubs will pick up on that idea of a no-phone protocol, like Berghain, like Output in New York, which I've played and really appreciated for that. I think it will definitely become more of a thing, and I hope it does. And I think if it does, it will really, really help to preserve what clubbing is for.